Welcome to the Cherland podcast, where I, Connor Cherland, get to meet up with a musician one-on-one that I really dig, and I get to hear what makes them tick, what kind of stuff they like, why they keep doing what they're doing, and we share a couple songs along the way. My first guest is brought to you by Quarantine. His name is Jackson Gillies. He is a songwriter. He is probably best known for his time on American Idol in the last couple seasons. But apart from that, he's a great singer, great personality, great guy, and a great person to know. So I hope you enjoy. Do you want to start by playing a song? Do you want to start by me asking you some questions? Do you want to... What are you feeling up for?
It's a good question.
Because first off, we just met.
This is their first time ever meeting in person. We've followed each other for a while. We're in the same circles.
Right. But never in the same place.
Never in the same place.
Until now.
And funny enough, we meet in person during a pandemic where you're not allowed to go near people.
Weird. Adhering to that.
It's true. We put a yardstick in between each other.
Yeah, two yardsticks.
2 yardsticks.
Hopefully. Cool. So tell me a little bit about like influences. I want to start there.
Yeah.
You, on your Instagram, you got John Mayer.
Yeah.
You got the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Who now includes John Mayer.
Yep.
So let's talk about the Grateful Dead to start.
I started with the Dead.
Okay.
I think I'm the only person on earth who found out through John Mayer, like from the Dead.
Yeah.
Like I was like, who's this John Mayer guy? You know,
Yeah.
as a 16-year-old, you know. My parents were both Deadheads, went to many, many shows, and I was raised around that music and classic rock, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and Joni Mitchell, and James Taylor. And I just fell in love with the rawness of, I wouldn't say country music, more like Western, Americana, really.
Yeah.
Like, just people with their guitars talking about their lives.
But the Grateful Dead is like, isn't it not people with guitars talking about their lives? Isn't it like jam band?
It is, but at the same time, it's very Western. Like people refer to it as country music for people who like acid.
Okay.
You know,
Nice.
but it's also their improvisation came from jazz. That's how Bob Weir learned how to play guitar.
Interesting.
He watched McCoy Tyner, and you know all these. McCoy Tyner might have been past that time. But he would watch jazz pianists, and he wouldn't watch, Miles Davis. He would watch how the guys would set up Miles Davis for these amazing solos, and that's how he played off of Jerry Garcia so well. He would set Jerry up with these inversions of chords and harmonically rich things that would move instead of like G, 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 C, C,
Yeah.
He was really...
Can you give me an example of how that would work? Because I know so little theory, so to...
Oh, so do I, trust me. I know just enough to get what I want. Let's say you're playing like E, like Eyes of the World is one of their songs. Or maybe like an E meter 7, right?
Yeah.
Instead of that, he would go... He would put melodic lines underneath. As opposed to or
Yeah.
and then he would do like, I can't do it, but he would do like 4 different inversions of E in a second to flip it around.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Have you done that in any of your songs?
Not really. So that's sort of where the John Mayer influence comes in. I was into this music and really into the Avett Brothers. Have you ever heard of them? They're from North Carolina. I learned how to play guitar because of them. I wanted to learn their songs. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was really folk oriented. Like if you listen to my voice memos from 4 years ago, it was me putting on like a fake Southern accent because that's what I knew how to do.
And it sounds kind of cool sometimes.
It does. If you can pull it off, it works.
Did you used to watch Hey Arnold when you were a kid?
No.
There's an Asian character who can pull out like this amazing country voice that's just like one of his hat tricks.
That's awesome.
And there's one episode where he just gets famous for writing about the simple things.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So even like, I wouldn't say it was like country, but it was folk, rock, Americana, very, very raw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't even really hear it until a couple years ago how raw it was. Some of their early stuff was like recorded in a basement, mic hanging off the ceiling.
Right.
And then I got into John Mayer, and I realized, oh, this is what I want to be a pop star. I want to take all those things, blend lyricism and rawness and the emotion, but put it into a context that works for everybody and still defines myself. And upon learning more about him, that's exactly what happened to him. He sat down at the end of the day as a blues guitar player, and he was like, I just want to express myself. I want to be listenable. I want to be listenable to people. And that's when I sort of shifted and started trying to write, trying to find my sound.
Yeah. What do you think makes something listenable as opposed to just like fancy? Because when I think about listenable, I think about catchy, relatable, emotional lines.
Right.
Versus technically difficult, like winks to other musicians in the room kind of lines. And there are places for that. Like I love getting some of those winks, but most of it flies way over my head because I don't.
A thank you is always better than a woo. A thank you is always better than a woo.
Yeah.
If you can write a song that makes someone come up to you and say, thank you.
Yeah.
I really needed that.
Yeah.
It really helped me through what I was listening to. Just keep writing songs like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter about theory. I used to think that things had to be like complex or fast, because the people that I listened to were very complex in their playing, and he's a phenomenal guitar player, and his voicings are so crazy. And I realized just make what's true to you right now. Listenable, just honest to yourself. When something's really honest and you can listen to it yourself, other people will get it.
Yeah. Do you want to play an example song of something that feels honest to you?
Sure. I really want to hear you play afterward. I've never heard you play in person.
I've never heard you play in person, so the feeling's mutual.
The pressure's on. I'll do this song. It's called Breeze. It's I was just telling you about this before. It's the first song I wrote when I got back from quarantine. I was living in London this past year, studying at a music school. Really, more than anything, I was trying to get my writing together. Just, go out and see the world a little bit. And I felt really weird coming home from quarantine, and I wrote the first line of this song just driving my car. And it came out, and that sort of opened the floodgates for me writing again. Yeah.
Cool.
Cotton candy skies in the middle of July make me wanna see you again, but I know we're just friends, and that's okay. I'm only dropping by to say I don't really care what you're gonna wear to the movies. We used to be in love, but now all your words go right through me, just like a breeze. That's all you see. I'm just a breeze. Take it from me. You had me all wrong when I wrote you that song. It wasn't meant to get in your way. I'm sorry for that. I just wanted to chat and say I don't really care what you're gonna wear to the movies. used to be in love, now all your words go right through me, just like a breeze. Take it from me, I'm just a breeze. Take it from me. I should have known in my heart you wanted to leave. Second guessed myself, I'm left here to bleed. Guess it's just another bust ripped apart by. I don't really care what you're gonna wear to the movies. We used to be in love, now all your words go right through me, just like a breeze. That's all you see. I'm just a breeze. Take it from me.
That's good, dude.
Thank you, man.
That's a strong hook.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's like real release in that hook.
Yeah, I remember. I spent like a week doing the production on it, and it was just so much fun doing like the drums and having that whoosh, you know.
When you do that live, you can sit and you can solo on that for just a year.
Dude, wait. I'm gonna play.
I'm just
That's exactly.
And it never stops.
Wait.
Yeah, you don't need to move on from anything. You just stay there, man.
25-minute solo, why not?
That song sets that up.
Yeah.
There are songs that don't give room for that.
Yeah.
And that song really begs a solo.
I can't wait to play that live. I have to thank Coldplay for that song. I was listening to Parachutes on repeat the first week. Such a phenomenal album. That like 6/8 strumming major 7 thing. That's totally Coldplay.
It's very jammy.
Yep.
It's like a drummer sitting back. That sounds great, dude.
Thank you, man.
You said you moved to London partially to, obviously music school, but also to get your writing. Were you there specifically for writing, or what was the emphasis in music school?
It was, so I went to school.
What was the music school called?
Yeah, ICMP, Institute of Contemporary Music Performance.
Yeah.
Very small, modern music school in central London, near Kilburn. And I had no idea what to expect. My girlfriend at the time, a few months before the fall, she had a publishing deal with a label there, and she was going to move over there and work for them. And she thought maybe I should have some sort of structure, so I'm not just waiting for a call to go write or record or something. And she found this school, and I had no idea this was right after American Idol. And I was like, I made it to, I think, the top 60, somewhere around there. And I was like, why did I do that? Not bashing myself, but I thought, where do I go from here? And the thought process that came out was, if I'm doing Idol, I'm promoting. Really, it's saying, this is me, buy my shit, And I realized I'm nowhere near, I'm not what I want to be promoting yet.
Sure.
And I figured I've always wanted that school experience. I wanted to be around people my age. And she was going to this school, and I said, why don't I just do that?
Yeah.
It was like $10,000 a year, which is a miracle, you know.
I mean, compared to the universities around here.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, cough up $65,000 and go find a house to rent.
dollars or?
65,000, yeah.
Okay.
It was like, yeah, it ended up being around $10,000.
Okay.
For the full year. And I had released 2 songs, Miss Me Too and Girl Oh Goodness Why, which are out on Spotify. They were good. They weren't me. Really, what I'm chasing is that sound that goes like, oh, that's Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
The same way they're like, oh, you hear it and it's Stevie Wonder or it's John Mayer, you know? And that's a high goal, high plate.
Sure.
High plate.
High plate. Like you say. Hey, can I have...
High bar.
Can I have that food? No, it's on the high plate. You're probably not going to get that.
You're not ready for that yet. It was really funny. I moved there, and I couldn't write. I would stay up until 4 a.m, banging my head on my guitar, I would go to the bathroom. I would sit with the window open. Could not write. I couldn't break this block. And it was partially because in the class that I was in, I was trying to impress the people that I was around. If I could somehow get the validation from my peers. By the way, if you see me doing this, it's because there are bugs. I don't know if you can see it, but there are little gnats. I was trying to get the validation from anyone around me. Usually if I play a gig or background gig there, someone's like, oh, you sound great, you're really good. And that reinforces what I'm doing. But for some reason, the playing field was just completely level at that school. I couldn't, no matter what I showed them, I couldn't make anybody go, wow, you're incredible. Like, really what I was trying to hear, which is shitty and egotistical, is why are you here? Why are you in a school? You should be, And I realized I wasn't writing anything. And I realized by the end of the semester, I'd made amazing friends with all these people that I would have never made before. And I realized, oh, I'm here to be a person. I'm here to learn how to be Jackson. That's what I'm here to do. And right then I came home for Christmas break, and it broke open. And I started writing really true stuff to who I am as a person because of that outward reflection of really like, oh, I'm just me. That's what the root of a musician is. It's their personal experience. Yeah. Not, you're great. Yeah. Go have a good life,
Yeah. Musically, how do you think, like when you're envisioning how Jackson will sound, like Me Oh Goodness Why, or God Oh Goodness Why, and Miss Me Too, those have distinct sounds. Those are they're not like the same.
For sure.
Musical style.
For sure.
So in the future, like, are you aiming for, I'm gonna be John Mayer, or I'm gonna be Shawn Mendes, but I'm gonna be Drake Bell, but like what are you sort of using as a compass point at the moment?
Yeah, right now, funny enough, I'm actually using Harry Styles. Just his...
I mean, because he put out an interesting album.
It's
of good art.
It's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
And he's huge. Yeah. It gives me hope. It's a band album. It's drums and 80 synths, bass and guitar.
He's such an attractive guy.
He's so hot. It's infuriating.
It's weird, yeah.
Why do you think I'm growing my hair out like this?
I know. It's intense. What did I show my barber when I wanted a haircut?
Yep.
A picture of Harry Styles. So, yeah, me too.
God help us. God help us.
I mean, he's doing a lot of great. He's not some sellout, soulless monkey out there. He's like,
not at all.
He looks like a real person, like a real amazing individual, and it's good that we want to emulate him because he's awesome.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, pigeon. Okay.
All to say? Can I get a gif of that? Can I get like a 6-second cut of?
I hope that was in frame. That was great. Okay, let me play a song about pigeons now. I don't actually have a song about pigeons, but if I did,
I'm disappointed.
Maybe the flies only go to people who are singing, because
I hope that doesn't seem like it.
As soon as I started, they came right onto my face. If you needed to clip something, that would be the sentence. That would be the sentence you want to clip.
That is now on the internet for in perpetuity forever.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll show you a recent one. I'm making an EP of love songs right now.
Nice.
And I've been avoiding writing like a lot of love songs based on some like advice I was given early on, and then also I like the longest relationship I'd had was 8 months, like my whole life. So when I was married, like by the time we got engaged, I was then breaking my longest relationship. Wow. It was like, oh, I'm currently in my longest relationship ever. That's insane. So I was like, I should probably like be quiet on the love front because I honestly don't know anything. But then like we entered into our 3rd year and we're like now entering our 4th, and I'm like, I feel like,
yep, you got it.
I was like, now I know at least enough.
Much less qualified people have written.
Exactly. Yeah, and I want to write love songs that are extremely practical and not over the top in their language. I used to get in these fights with an ex-girlfriend because she would be like, she'd just be like, I just want you to say like, I'm the most beautiful girl that you've ever met. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just don't think that that's true. I also don't think you're the most wonderful person in the world. There's probably someone better than you.
Have you heard Tim Minchin's If I Didn't Have You?
No.
He has a whole song, If I Didn't Have You, Someone Else Would Do.
Yeah.
You're not the prettiest or the smartest, but there might be someone who's better at math than you or, smarter than you.
Yeah. And it's not a romantic notion, so I've been figuring out my voice is like a very practical, loving thing. So I'm trying to figure out like what romantic notions can I really mean from my side. So this is about how I used to be on time to most things, and then I got married, and now I'm late to a lot of things. But I would prefer to be late and with her than
on
lonely.
Time and alone. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the premise. It's called Darlin. It's supposed to be a duet, but there's me. Open up my heart and crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet, my darling. Boo on the balcony, covered in towels, better get dressed. Breakfast in an hour, say you'll be ready in time. Once the time passes, I'll tell you it's fine. I'd rather be late than on time on my own. It's better late by your side than leave here alone. Open up my heart and crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet, my darling. But when the study, you've been judging me quiet, hates the interruption. I can tell that you like it. Say you'll be working tonight. Once the time passes, I'll tell you it's fine. I'd rather you late than not hear you call. It's better late by your side than not hear it all. Open up my heart and crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet, my darling. Open up my heart and crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet. We could fight all night, we could fight all night, but I'm here in the morning whether or not you like. Boy with the bootstraps lives like a child, go running late cause she can't pick a style. Boy in the bleachers wanna be famous, girl only hates cause she know that she ain't us. But I only want you and nobody else. It's better fighting with you than fighting by myself. Open up my heart and crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet, my darling. Open up my heart, crawling where we both belong, my darling. Every part of me is excited, waiting for my sweet, sweet.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Down the street.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Oh, it's such a satisfying song. The end of every verse, I was going, yep, give me the line. Yep.
Give me that line.
Yep.
Sure.
Do you watch Rick and Morty?
No.
Oh,
I wish I
man.
did. I should. It's so culturally relevant.
I do
To watch.
I ask people that because I do a really good impression. Do you watch Big Mouth? Oh, wait, no.
She wants to have sex with you, baby. Kick her in the shins. I'm me, baby. You're you, I'm me. I'm always me. I'm Steve, baby.
No, that's me in my body.
No, it's me in my body. I'll always be me. You're gonna be you, baby.
We saw him live in San Francisco.
Have you seen Oh Hello?
I mean, I've seen it on Netflix.
I watched it so many times.
It's the most genius.
Can we do Oh Hello from the entire beginning?
Do the water part.
Yeah, I don't want to do the water anymore. Oh, hey, the water spray's the best fucking part of the show. It makes my glasses all watery. Deb and John came last week with their adult son, and they said they love the water part. But they listened to Stomp. I love Stomp. They bang everything.
You really have watched it a lot.
I've watched it so many times.
That's amazing.
I can quote the entire thing.
It's the lines like their adult son. Adult son is hilarious.
So funny. I don't know why. That's the funniest. That's the funny part of that line.
It's the amount of jokes that they're like. It's so dense with jokes that whole time that I mean I felt like I had to watch it. Like as soon as I watched it the first time, I was like, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen." So I immediately watched it again, and then my in-laws were in town, and I was like, "We have to sit down and watch this." And then my parents came in town, and we watched it again, and it's great. It like has the ability to span generations.
Absolutely.
Like people who don't feel comfortable with Nick Kroll or John Mulaney's like swearing, they like become these curmudgeonly old people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's okay. And they're just like, well, they're adorable and they're swearing. It's different. And I'm like, that is the genius of Nick Kroll and John Mulaney.
Perfect. I was very nearly the voice of CBS, you see.
This is just number one.
And this is represented by Dumb Buck Walden Associates. CBS. All right.
All right.
This is CBS, baby!
Man, you really commit to it and you hit it. You're hitting the notes.
I love it so much.
It's so, I feel like I hurt my throat every time I try it.
Can you sing a song?
Comments are like, we don't know this reference.
Oh, I do.
We would really like other things now. What is, changing back to music, what is bad advice to a musician that either you have received or you have heard going around?
Ooh. That's a great question. You got good questions, man.
I steal them from other people.
Yep, me too. Bad musician advice. Stealing this from John Mayer. That didn't work is cool. That won't work is the lamest thing anyone can say. That won't work is the worst thing you can say as a creative person. Saying that didn't work is fine. That's if you knock on doors all day of songs, you say, "Oh, I didn't get anything," instead of, "Oh, that's not going to work." Shut yourself down for everything. You got to be open to, getting denied.
Yeah. That I've had that said. Has someone said that to you before? Where they're like, that won't work.
How are you gonna tell?
Yeah. I tried out for America's Got Talent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 years ago. I sang this big, flashy song.
Yeah.
And it's just very high energy.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Howie Mandel said was, "I hate the song."
Huh.
The full 3,000 crowd audience, was up on their feet, applauding.
Yeah.
And they all sit down and Howie Mandel's, "I hate the song.
Yeah.
I liked you, hated the song."
That's kind of a nice compliment, though. It's like, hey, I can see through that performance that I hated. I think I like you. Which is kind of like a nicer thing to say.
It's true.
Than I
hate the song and I hate you. Get off my stage.
School of Rock. You're tacky and I hate you.
God, I watched that movie about 8 million times on the iPod Classic, the big rectangle one.
If you've never watched a movie on an iPod, you've never experienced.
There are people that haven't. There are people who were born in 2005 now.
I know, they had
who
an
are
iPhone.
15. People who were born in 2005 are 15. I'm only 20, for God's sake. I'm a little baby.
Cool. These people on Facebook Live apparently want another song.
Yes, okay.
Let me see if I can tie it into, because I don't want you to just play songs for the sake of playing songs. I want to tie it in so I can get to know you at the same time. So you went to school. You're hoping to improve your songwriting. You're learning who you are as a songwriter.
You gotta be joking. Is there a script somewhere? The song I was gonna play next is Learning. It's literally called Learning.
Great. So right now you're in a learning phase. What's sort of your goal? Like, if you were to zoom out and be like, man, in a few years, I really hope to see me have accomplished X. Like, what are you doing in like 3 years, and what does your career look like at that point?
Being idolizing John Mayer's not great for your ego, because he dropped out of Berkeley after a year and 2 semesters, and then pretty much hit it in the next year or two. Mm-hmm. Signed a contract with Columbia, really a subsidiary of Columbia Records. His first record came out, and it was huge, So and he was 20, 21, hugely talented. So I keep thinking, I'm nearing my 21st birthday. It's like, oh, I'm not there yet. And then I look at other people like Alec Benjamin. He's 25, and he's just hugely hitting it now. Charlie Puth is like 25 or 26. So in the next couple of years...
You can go outside of your 20s, too. I have people in their 30s and 40s,
Stevie Ray Vaughan released his debut album at 30 years old, So in 2 or 3 years, I'd very much like to have I'd like to be playing shows to people who know my music.
Yes.
Who are going around and playing solid number shows. If I can get off the ground with that, if I can get a launching point, I don't think I'm ever going to stop. I'm just going to keep writing better music.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep it really comes down to the product. If I can make a good EP album that gets out to the internet and people start loving it and put it in their playlists, from there, just keep building it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, play me some Learning.
Yeah. This is a song I started over Christmas break. I just made this little beat and a bass line in Logic, and I came up with this chorus, and then I thought maybe it's a verse, and then I scrapped it. I've been fighting with this song, and the other night, 3 a.m., just came up with a verse. It just happened. I figured out it needed one more verse. I could just do 2 verses and a double chorus and an out and whatever, I'm thinking of this possibly as the single for the EP. It's 4 a.m. and I feel a little strange. I can hear birds outside my window. Pain rolls through my heart, and I can't find the sunrise. It's like this every night. When will I be alright? I've grown a little older. Maybe I've been a little colder to myself, and I think I'm still learning how to love myself, learning how to love myself. Roll the dice a girl who just needs a friend. And every time I hear her say my name, I ask myself why I play this game. It's like this every night. When will I be alright? I've grown a little older. Maybe I've been a little colder to myself. I think I'm still learning how to love myself. Learning how to love myself. I've grown a little older. Maybe I've been a little colder to myself, and I think I'm still learning how to love myself. Learning how to love myself.
That's great, man.
Thank you, man.
That's a cute line, man.
Thanks, man.
It's it's like a fun little dip down, and
Yeah.
what was the drum beat that was that what inspired it? This drum beat and this bass line?
Yeah. It was just it was like it's just real funky. I have the original like voice note of it. But I wrote that chorus and I wrote those lyrics over it.
Yeah.
And then I realized I wrote the verse and the pre-chorus in a totally separate time, and I went, they go together. Come on, load.
Are these all voice memos or are these MP3s that you keep?
This is a Snapchat video. But I think I had it as weave.
Yeah.
I think we're still learning how to love ourselves.
Yeah.
Learning how to love ourselves. That was just, I grooved on that for like a week. Just
I like that like funky key synth in the back.
Yeah. It was actually, if you go to Logic, in multi-effects, step FX, it was just my guitar track that I doubled.
Cool.
And I was panning it to the left and the right, and it just totally
nice
made swirlies to it.
That's awesome.
Swirlies.
That's the technical term.
That's
tight. So you're thinking that's going to be the single for this album that you're hoping to put out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has the process been looking like for this album? You said like your hopes for it's like the good product that is going to allow people to like come to shows, sing your songs. So no pressure, you know.
Yeah.
But what's the vibe of the album? Do you know how many tracks? What you're aiming for?
I think I'm gonna go for 6 actual tracks. Probably like 5 tracks, 1 little interlude because I have more than a few interludes, and I'll probably stick like a personal voicemail on there. Hopefully I can get it to 7 and call it an album.
Sure.
Because an album is a lot more marketable than an EP.
Sure.
You know, it just sounds better to call it an album. At least I think. I just love albums. I love like sitting down and putting something on and fully ingesting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 or 6 songs. I want to name it Learning, but that's so cheesy to have it. It's
that's fair.
I put it on like pictures, that name, and it's like it's a little cheesy. I feel the vibe of it. I don't know. It's sort of just time capsules, you know, different stages of me finding out that this is what I want to do, you know. Breeze is definitely going to be on there. That song I think is going to be on there. It needs some tightening.
Sure.
Yeah.
At what point did you know that you wanted to do this? Because, I mean, talented kid, and then, you know, you leave school, and then you're like, what do I do? So, like, when you left high school, what did that look like?
So I moved here 5 years ago from Florida, and I was living in New York originally, grew up there as a type 1 diabetic. My doctors said, have you ever considered moving somewhere tropical, you know, to get your blood sugars more in control? And we ended up moving to Florida. And while I was there, I got this wicked skin condition, autoimmune, called HS. I give a TEDx talk about it. I, you know, couldn't walk for about 2 months. I had abscesses on each of my legs, and my doctors were like, yeah, you just moved to the worst place possible for this skin condition. It's hot, and there's bad food everywhere. It's very diet related. And I moved to Santa Barbara, and that's when I started playing guitar. I moved there, and 4 months later, I won Teen Star. I won the Teen Star competition. And before that, all I had done was musical theater. I won that competition. I was like, oh, I want to do this. I was like, I don't have to wait 7.5 months and have a whole cast of people in order to perform.
Yeah.
And so I just obsessively played guitar. And I made a really funny realization. I heard myself on voice notes from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't think I would have told that kid to keep going.
Really?
I would have said, don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
You know, I had no...
You would have said this won't work.
I would have said this won't work,
Yeah.
100%. I was just blissfully not that great yet. And just this past year, I've been sort of gearing towards this EP.
Yeah. So was there so the Teen Star was like the moment where you were like, man, I could... So did you decide at that point, like, I'm not going to go to college, or was that like a...
Oh, that was always in the cards.
You were always like, I'm never going to go to college.
I got out of high school as fast as humanly possible.
Okay.
I hated school.
Cool.
I liked the people.
Okay.
But pretty much, I would just leave.
Yeah.
I would just leave high school. I'd go home at noon. I would have I got lucky enough that my schedule was either class I didn't care about in the afternoon or like free periods.
Yeah.
I would just get on the bus and go home go play guitar, you know.
Dang. And your parents were cool with it. They were like, school's just not your thing.
You know, pretty much. I mean, they said like, do your schoolwork. Don't be a burnout. But I'm incredibly lucky that they are so supportive. And my mom is a musician. My dad loves music, and they, you know, they're still helping me with this EP and trying to guide me through it. And my mom is my manager. Currently my manager, pretty much the only person I know in the world who's not gonna fuck me over, like, for sure.
I mean, hopefully.
It's still, you know, hopefully.
If not her, then who could you trust, you know? So.
If it goes, it's big reward, big loss if it goes wrong.
If this goes sour, you're like, you're screwed, you know? But I mean, it probably won't. It is the safest bet. Is there any particular... What was I going to say? Like, career that you're hoping to emulate as, like, that you see, like, would it be like the John Mayer type, being like, you know, he dropped out and then he just went for it, and I'm going to do the same thing? Or is there someone, do you have other people whose success you kind of, like, look at and try to emulate?
Yeah, again, comparing myself to him is never a good idea. It's a good...
I mean, but we all got to.
Of course you do. And of course, that's a bar set for your songs. But I'm realizing more and more it's okay that I'm not where I want to be yet. You know, and I think it's going to be a lot more... It's going to be a lot more doing work from home, you know? If I record this album and I market it right, I'm not going to need to go rent a van and tour myself to death in order to get people to listen to it. If I market it correctly and it's really good, I could get it out that way. And I'm not, touring is gonna be really tough for me because of that skin condition. I can only eat 5 things. I can eat organic chicken and some organic vegetables, and that's about it.
Dang, which organic vegetables?
I have the same thing every single day.
Okay.
I eat the exact same
Tell
meal,
me.
2 meals every day. I have 3 chicken thighs, usually for lunch, and sometimes a little bit of salad.
Is there a problem if you're eating more than 3 chicken thighs? Does it...
No, the quantity does not matter.
Okay,
it's
fine.
the actual food.
Okay.
And then for dinner, I'll do 3 chicken thighs, and I'll do a roasted tray of butternut squash, carrots, zucchini, and broccoli in olive oil with salt.
Oof.
Every night.
Are spices included in things that you can't have, like certain spices?
Yeah. Spices, any peppers, artichoke, eggplant, nightshade vegetables, tomatoes, potatoes, sugar, gluten, grain, corn, wheat, dairy.
Okay. So if you were to ever tour, it would need to be like you have your own cook. You're loading up at certain places. And
I
you're
would
like,
just need a kitchen.
Yeah.
That's it. I would need a place where I could get a refrigerator and free. My mom's over there saying, we could do it.
Jack Johnson travels with a full chef and catering.
Wow.
And like really nutritionally takes care of his people.
For sure.
So I am very fortunate enough to, like, when I left the tech world to become a full-time musician, I got married in the same month. So I like did this huge jump off, and for the first tour, I felt me and my wife had so many fights about this first tour, because I was like, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this, and she was like, we need to make sure that we spend some days like food prepping. Like, we're not going to have access to kitchens every day, so we need to like make sure that you're healthy and doing these things. And I was like, it was the first time where I realized, like, oh, I've never prioritized my own health.
Wow.
And like
women are good with that.
I mean, people who love you are good with that. Like, people who are just like, oh, I see you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah, so that's like a huge advantage I feel like I have on the road versus other musicians who like are always like going after it and like drinking really hard every night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got one beer, and like me and my wife are like making food. Like,
That's
and
the new cool. It's the new cool. Everybody's doing it now. It's from the text that I hear and the roadies that I talk to. It's like healthy and salmon and quinoa.
Having a nice
and
life.
sushi,
Yeah.
having a nice long life.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. That's so interesting. That I feel like I'm the exact opposite of you in the touring sense of like if I don't have to like tour out there, that's great. And I'm like, that's kind of all I want to do.
I mean, I want to as well.
Okay.
I want to play as many shows as friggin' humanly possible.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like I don't have the content for it right now.
Sure.
Like I don't have a set list of.
You've written a ton of songs though.
Yeah, but I'm very picky.
Okay.
Very picky with the quality of
Yeah.
them. If I can't get through a gig and people are like locked in and they want to hear the next song, then I don't really want to do it.
Okay.
I'd like to get to a place where I can play like an hour set of all originals.
Cool.
And have it be really solid.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, all right. He's down for it. Little Bird's down for it.
The fuck are you looking at?
What are you looking at? That's what he said. Let me play another
please.
original, and then you can play us out. One of the, I mean, I know it's not couth to say that you learned anything from Louis C.K., but one of the things I learned from Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. so
was that, like, he talks about developing a comedy set, and he says, like, you take your best material, your closer, and you make it your first thing.
And yep.
And then...
That's from Talking Funny.
Really?
That's from the hour-long special with him, Ricky Gervais, Chris Rock, and Jerry Seinfeld.
Interesting. Yeah, he just talks about that, and it's one of the things that I've continued to do with a lot of my sets is like practice the feeling of I don't know how this is gonna go, and it still is like really hard where I've like in the last year played a live show and then like I've never played this song before in front of anybody. I'm gonna play it now, and like dead silence, and I'm like, this is the worst feeling in the world, but it's also like, it's incredibly motivating for me to write better songs because I'm like, I hate the feeling of sharing a song and people being like,
what do you got?
You're like, shut up. That's not a clap. Don't clap for that. You don't get to clap anymore. This is, I'll play another song off this Love Songs EP. This is, it involves a lot of the things, like a lot of the quirks from when my wife and I first got married. I used to kill spiders using this candle, and then I would put the candle just like somewhere that she wouldn't notice it until it was full of spiders. And then I would, once it was full of spiders, I would set it somewhere that she would find it.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Pranking your wife is like one of the greatest. It's amazing.
I do the same thing. I just fill something up until it's completely unacceptable and I put it somewhere else for someone to deal with.
It's so fun, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get abusive, pranking your wife is tops. So there's references to that. There's also references to how we learned very quickly that we both needed separate covers in bed because we both like to like individually burrito. And so throughout the year, there's between like 2 and 6 comforters on the bed.
That's awesome.
The song is called How I'll Love You. No, I ain't blameless, but a good friend, darling. I'll stay away on Thursday nights when silence often lacks between all the mouths you feed, including me. This is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, baby, now. No, I'm not the wild type. I'm making coffee swept out of sight. The dust mites that accumulate and kill the spiders that you hate. Breakfast when you're running late. And this is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, baby, now. And I'll organize the closet, light the candles if you need. Order takeout, turn the heater on, make sure your side has sheets. Grab the paper and your favorite glass to drink your bourbon neat. You know it's yours when it's too stiff for me. And this is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you. And this is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, babe. This is how I love you, baby, now. Thank you, down the road.
Yeah, man. That's a great tune.
Thank you very much.
I hear your songs and I think I gotta write more like that. They're so
I mean,
concise.
I feel very similar to your songs.
Do you watch Bo Burnham?
Yeah.
This one is called A World on Fire. This next one is a bit longer than that one. 1, 2. So this tune, this was right after I conceived the idea for learning. I was driving home during Christmas break here, back from London, and I was listening to Mr. Tambourine Man in the car, and it was the first song I ever learned on guitar. It was actually prematurely I learned on guitar. I learned and I completely forgot. I had guitar lessons and I was totally ADD. Never stuck with it as a kid. But that song always stuck with me, and I was just in such deep appreciation of it. And I went home and I was eating my vegetables, sitting at my desk, and I could just see the sunset poking through my window just barely. And I had this concept pop into my head of an old man sitting in a park, and it's just time to go. Mm-hmm. Just that image so clearly. And I have the original voice memo of me like chewing and singing the first line, like, "Has the evening it's gonna be great if this song ever gets famous. I always think about that. And the chorus came really quickly. Yeah, it's called Sunset. I see it being as the last song of the album, big emotional song.
Cool.
Hopefully it's gonna make me some money in movies. Hopefully it's a soundtrack song. I think it is.
As the evening sky grew dark, an old man sitting in the park turns his head and says some words to me. It's time for me to go to bed. Won't you make sure my dogs are fed? Drive to school and drop off Annalie. Would you do that for me? I nod my head and take his hand. We walk toward the promised land. The colors of the sky begin to bleed. A tear rolled down his cheek. Ain't it just a sunset? Ain't it just another thing that we'll forget? When we drift off into eternity, when we give up all the light we cannot see, what would you rather be than a sunset, than a sunset? A mother's love will know no bounds until her child has made a sound that tells the world they can no longer bleed. The days that she spent sitting there, swaying in a rocking chair, singing to her baby in the breeze, are now a distant dream. Ain't it just a sunset? Ain't it just another thing that we'll forget? When we drift off into eternity, when we give up all this light that we can't see, what would you rather be? Just a sunset? Ain't it just another thing that we'll forget? When we drift off into eternity, when we give up all this light that we can't see, yeah, the clothes we wear will rip and tear, our hearts will cease to bleed, and the love we found will turn to dust and float into the sea. Nothing's more important than the memories we keep. So what would you rather be than a sunset, than a sunset?
Cool.
Thank you, man.
I really like that. Dude, Van a Sunset is a very cool abstract name for an album. Van a Sunset. People will be like, what even is that?
I've tried to do Sunset, but then it's too straightforward.
I mean, it's pretty. Van a Sunset.
Van a Sunset. Ooh.
Yeah.
I might just do that.
Because they'll be like, don't you mean Van a Sunset? You're like, no, dog. Hear the song, dummy. That's great.
Gotta listen to the album, find out.
I like that. For a closer, that feels like an amazing closer.
Thank you, man.
I mean, both for an album and for this interview.